Hey everyone, I think we're going to get started. I think we're at least at time, and hopefully we've got some other folks trickling in. But just wanted to do a really quick introduction. My name is Natalie. I am with the Masters of the Environment program. I'm the director of that program. We are really happy to be partnering with our friends here at ICLEI to provide this session to you all that's really focused on how we can help local governments with their capacity using our amazing graduate students across both of our different programs. And today is going to be a bit of a showcase of some of those projects so you can get some ideas as to perhaps how your local government, your organizations can be benefiting from these amazing graduate students who want to move into the sustainability and climate space.
Well, thanks, Natalie. My name is Jenny Nitzky. I'm a senior program officer with ICLEI USA. Today, we will give you an introduction to our different programs and our different organizations, including ICLEI USA, the NSF Ascend engine, and our core program, in addition to the MENV programs. And then we will potentially break out into some mini labs, or we might do some more full group discussions. We'll see how we're feeling when the time comes. But we have our amazing interns here who are going to share a little bit about the great work that they've been doing. And then we'll talk about next steps and how you might be able to get involved with some of these programs. So first and foremost, ICLEI USA was founded about 30 years ago because of a group of impassioned mayors that were fighting environmental pollution at the United Nations. And that gathering came to be known as the International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives. So if you ever wondered what ICLEI stood for, that's what it is. We no longer use that long term, but just go by ICLEI for short now. But we, ever since, have been leading a network of local governments who have been dedicated to sustainability. We're a nonprofit, membership-based organization, and we help communities of all sizes, from cities and towns to counties to tribes to councils of government and regional planning associations with their work. We've got 382 members across the U.S., and 32 of those, I just counted this morning, are based here in Colorado. So one of the biggest gaps that we have noticed for our members is funding and staff capacity. And any of you who work in local government, I'm sure you can relate to those two gaps. And so what we really wanted to do was to create a program that could help local governments with both of those gaps. And so before I get into the core program that we established, I want to hand it over to Amber, who is with the NSF Ascend engine, one of our main funders for this program, to share a bit about how they've helped us and what they do.
All right, thank you. So I'm the Director of Workforce and Regional Engagement for the NSF Ascend engine, and we'll take a look at just what that program is. Has anybody heard of the Engines program? One person. Awesome. Okay, well, that's why I'm here, to tell you a little bit about it. So we're excited to help fund these interns across the state of Colorado. And I want to kind of give you a background into how the Engines program got started. So first of all, if you don't know what the NSF stands for, that is the National Science Foundation. I assume you know, but I'm just going to spell it out. So National Science Foundation was taking a look at our country and looking at how competitive are we in terms of innovation across the global spectrum. And we recognize that we're kind of falling behind in some areas, as I'm sure you are well aware. And so when we took a look at the United States and we looked at where our main tech-based metros or innovation hubs, really what we were seeing, or what the NSF was seeing across the country, was that they are on the West Coast, New York, and Texas. And then we had this big blank space across most of the United States, so really not any major regional innovation hubs existing. And so about 2 years ago, NSF launched this Engines competition, which was a competition to try to generate innovation hubs across the United States. And so they had over 700 applicants to apply to receive funding that would bring in up to $165 million per project to their different hubs in order to advance their different technologies. And so out of the 700 applicants that came in during the first year, 10 engines were selected, and the NSF Ascend engine is one. Our region that we represent is Colorado and Wyoming. When we started out, we were the National Science Foundation Climate Resilience Engine. We have gone through a name change. I'm not sure I need to explain why. The ASCEND engine stands for Advanced Sensing and Computation in Environmental Decision Making. And so if this intrigues you, advanced sensing, computational analytics, using that in order to inform our decisions that we make, in order to be better prepared for climate emergencies, in order to prepare us to be more responsive, reach out to me later and we can dig deeper into these pillars. These are our primary areas of focus. So let me see a show of hands. How many of you in your mountain communities might be impacted by one of these use cases? How about 2? 3, no, raise legs, everything, right? Okay, right. So you all are impacted by this. I spent a long time, I spent 16 years living in Estes Park, so I know the mountain town experience. We've done evacuations, we've had floods, all sorts of good things happening there. So we need help in this space. And so our job as an engine is to create an ecosystem of partners over the next several years to bring together the richness that we have in this region. So we have a really strong concentration of R1 universities, national labs, and then all sorts of different organizations like ICLEI that are helping us to look at how can we best prepare ourselves for the climate challenges that come our way. And so you'll see we are in year 2 right now of this process with the National Science Foundation. We are in the process right now of we went through and just did our site visit 2 weeks ago with the National Science Foundation, trying to receive the next tranche of money for years 3 through 5. Government's shut down right now, so we're all waiting, just like a lot of others, to find out, will we receive that funding? We feel optimistic. We met with the head of the National Science Foundation right after our site visit. He's very encouraged by our work and wants us to continue forward. We are also partnered with the Elevate Quantum Hub, so if you're familiar with the tech hub here in the Denver metro region. So we're looking to kind of combine our efforts and move that forward. These are some of the anticipated impacts of the Ascend engine over the next 10 years. My job specifically is workforce, right? So how many new jobs can we bring across Colorado and Wyoming as we advance these different technologies? And specifically across the bottom here, you'll see how many interns did we have here today? 5, 6, right? We're shooting for 1,000, right? So I have a ton of different programming combined with OEdit and a variety of different funding opportunities across the state. We've done a systems engineering internship program where we already have funded 120 internships in this last year. So if you're in the audience and you're saying, hey, I work in this space and I need more interns, or I have people on the non-degreed workforce that need to get their foot in the door, you'll see in the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to be bringing a ton of custom training to help people get their foot in the door to these entry-level positions. We're also partnered with NVIDIA, who is our national leader with AI. They are bringing their technology training to us and adding it into our programming. So if you're interested in getting NVIDIA-type training, that's something that you can do with us. So that's a little bit about the engine. There's a lot more, but if you're curious and want to know more about it later, certainly reach out to me. But the real showcase is our interns today, and so we're just happy to support you all as you got out into your work. So.
Thanks, Amber. So the work that, The work that the NSF engine and Colorado OEdit helped us to fund was this internship program where we paired 5 Colorado-based graduate students with 5 Colorado communities to do specifically resilience work. And so the program goals really, again, are related to resilience initiatives, including climate change adaptation, community engagement, conservation, public health, water management, and emergency preparedness. And so the communities who ended up getting an intern, they all submitted different proposals of projects that had to do with one or more of these initiatives. Anything that was research, planning, policy development, or implementation was eligible. So pretty much everything in the kitchen sink. In addition to resilience, the other main goal, which Amber just talked about, was workforce development. We conducted interviews with all of the interns and with all of the communities and made pairings based off of need, background, and interest. We also provided training for those interns. There was a week-long orientation earlier this year, and we continue to help them out at ICLEI USA with office hours and ongoing trainings to make sure that they are prepared for any challenges that they might face. We also, the duration of the internship is about 7 months, and they work about 30 hours a week so that they're able to balance school, life, and the internship. In addition to meaningful support that they're providing for their communities, they're all gaining real-world experience, which I think we've heard a lot about throughout this conference, that having interns and people who are in graduate school or even younger, such as yesterday, the Montana youth, getting real-world experience and putting them out into the workforce and feeling enabled and empowered to do so is really the goal of this. So they're providing meaningful support and getting real-world experience in planning and strategy development, public speaking and workshops, project piloting and scoping, data analysis and surveys, and policy development. So what's next for the core program? Well, as Amber said, it is contingent upon funding, but if they are awarded, it seems like we will be able to run the program for at least the next 3 years, with hopefully 5 new graduate students every year and 5 new municipalities every year. And we're able to keep that cost really low. Local governments should expect a cost of about $6,500 for the duration of the internship. So that's the core program, and now I'll pass it back over to Natalie to talk more about what MENV has to offer.
Thanks, Jenny. So, Masters of the Environment at CU Boulder, for those of you who aren't familiar with us, we are a 2-year interdisciplinary master's degree program that really focuses on empowering students to drive change through sustainability solutions and climate action. We do this through a lot of applied and experiential learning, and we really try to provide what we consider to be an unparalleled graduate experience. We have 5 different specializations across which students are able to gain expertise. These include environmental natural resource policy, renewable sustainable energy, urban resiliency and sustainability, sustainable food systems, and sustainability in the outdoor industry. The cool thing is, with Mountain Towns 2030 and their solutions framework, this actually lays really nicely on top of a lot of those key focus areas, which is why, we're really excited to be here today. I think one of the strengths about our program is the fact that students are able to get both breadth across all of these different areas, as well as dive deep into, 1 or 2 of these areas in particular. Because as we all know, as we're trying to work with sustainability, trying to come up with climate solutions, these really do exist across and at the intersect of all of these different areas, right? It's very rare that things are sort of siloed, as academia typically likes to do. On that note, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Alice, because she's going to talk about Capstone, which is really, a flagship, experience that we offer that can help you all in terms of local government capacity.
Perfect. Thank you, Natalie. Hi, everybody. My name is Alice Reznickova, and I'm a faculty member at Masters of the Environment at the Capstone lead. And our Capstone is a pretty unique program because the students do this project throughout most of their career with us in MENV. It takes about a year for our partners, and for the students, it's a year and a half. So what is the Capstone? It's real world, it's collaborative, and it's a long-term project that really allows students to immerse themselves with an organization to solve a sustainability problem. It helps the students grow, so they're practicing their skills, whether they're leadership, project management, collaboration, or technical skills, and also grow their professional networks and really set them up for a successful career. And at the same time, they are working with you and for you. So all the Capstone deliverables and the project is set by the partner, and our partners report receiving valuable products and services that the students create under their mentorship. If you are interested to join us, we look for partners every year, and this is how we are thinking about what makes a good project for our program. So the first one is that the project has to be year-long. Each student spends about 600 hours on it throughout the year. So for a group of 3 or 4 students, that's roughly 2,000 hours. So it has to be quite robust. And the students are coming in as consultants under your and another faculty member's mentorship. The project has to have graduate rigor and analysis. And it has to be both professional and academic. And so what that means, in collaboration with local governments, our students build sustainability plans, resilience plans, conduct community engagement, build toolkits, create policy recommendations, and so on and so on. So many different types of projects across sustainability areas. It has to have a professional relevance for them, but the work with local governments is professionally relevant. So that's really not a criterion that anybody in this room will have to worry about. It has to include professional deliverables, so whether that is reports, plans, toolkits, anything like that works. And we are looking for folks who want to work with students and mentor them. So strong mentoring here is key. What we are asking from our partners is about 1 to 2 hours a week for the year of meeting with the students, offering them feedback, responding to their outline of next steps, because the students are coming in to design and execute a project, and you are there to ensure that the project is relevant and valuable to you. We also ask for mentoring and supporting the professional development of students. So introducing them to other folks, allowing them to connect with subject matter experts, inviting them to offer presentations to the city staff. All of that is really valuable for them. We ask partners provide responses and feedback that makes the final product better and more useful. And then finally, cover the financial cost. Many projects have a financial cost of 0. So, it's not very difficult to put together a budget, but many of our partners now offer stipends. You don't pay anything to our program. All that funding would go directly to students, and the stipend is about $2,500 to $3,000 on average per student. So roughly $10K per project. We offer program stipends for folks who are not able to fundraise stipends on their end. So all students get a little stipend. These are the partners over the year. So we work, aside from local governments, we also work with private partners, with not-for-profits, with state government, and so on. So we really span across types of organizations and sectors and geographies. So if you know other folks who might be interested, we'd love to talk to them. And just so you know, the timeline very briefly is we are right around that proposal due. I am now officially extending the timeline for anybody in this room. If you are interested in this year, we would be able to accept a proposal until October 20th. Otherwise, we would be looking into the next year, and I'd be happy to collect your contact information and get in touch when the next year's cohort opens in June. And now I'll give it back to Natalie.
Sorry for all the back and forth. This is the last program we want to highlight because we've got students who are going to be, talking about each of the programs that you've heard so far. But in addition to the Capstone program within the Masters of the Environment program, we also have a number of experiential courses and partnerships that are run through those courses. And one relevant example for this room today is the Rural Technical Assistance Program that we run in partnership with the Colorado Outdoor Recreation Industry Office. This is a really cool collaboration, and the focus is on providing rural communities in Colorado with technical planning assistance, largely to help with outdoor recreation and Main Street development. And now, while that focus area isn't specifically speaking to sustainability and climate, again, given that those areas also span a wide range of sort of just general community development and economic development spaces like infrastructure and housing, conservation. We see a lot of these elements still come up in the community plans that we work with. And so we partner with the OREC office. We also partner with Colorado State University Extension. They help to provide implementation support for the communities that we partner with. And then our program at the state level is modeled off the federal program, for those of you who are familiar with the EPA's Recreation Economies for Rural Communities program. So this is just a map of who within the state of Colorado we've worked with. The blue stars refer to the communities that have worked with the federal program, within which we've also been really a key part of. And then the 9 communities that we've worked with to date are located on the left there. So some of those you can see, like Hayden, like Leadville, like Keystone, are very much mountain rural communities. And then I'm glad to say that in this next round, one of the 3 communities that we'll be working with will be Minturn. So another one to add to the list. I'm going to hand it, actually, I'll do this slide, then hand it to Jess. Just so you've got a sense as to how the Rural Technical Assistance Program works, we break it down into 3 phases. The first phase is really run by representatives from each of the partner organizations, and we help to set the community up, develop a steering committee, because this is very much a community-driven process where we as facilitators come in to help the community to identify themselves, what do they want to see in terms of their vision for the community in a perfect world. And so we start that process in phase 1. Phase 2 is where the students come in and they really take over the facilitation of steering committee calls, as well as a 2-day in-person workshop where we really invite as broad a representation of the community as possible. And all of the data, all of the engagement from that is what will inform the final community action plan, which is the deliverable they hand over to the community. And these are designed for a 12 to 24 month time frame. So very specifically focused on being actionable versus the classic sort of plan that sits on the shelf. And then phase 3 is where CSU Extension comes in for that 12 to 24 month period to provide communities with any implementation assistance. We don't have funding attached to this, unfortunately, but a key role that CSU plays is helping the community to identify relevant resources and grants, and our students also do that within the plan itself. There's no cost to participate for communities in this. We cover the cost of student and faculty travel and time. We just ask that you provide a venue for the community workshop and some refreshments as well. And so Jess is one of our students who just participated in the program and then graduated in May and is now working with the town of Keystone. So.
Thank you. So yes, as Natalie said, I graduated from MENV, I participated in RTAP, and am now implementing this plan in the town of Keystone, which is a great and exciting transition. And so to talk a little bit about the community action plan, the final deliverable that comes from the graduate student consultants. This plan is 2 years, roughly 2 years in length. And so it is structured around a community decided list of goals. And these goals primarily come out of steering committee meetings and from the community workshop. And we as graduate students help facilitate and put these goals and the community vision into this plan. So from these goals, which for Keystone revolved around physical connectivity and safety, community identity, amenity stewardship, economic diversification, we then work with members of the community to come up with very step-by-step actions that can be taken to work towards these goals. And it includes identifying who in the community can lead certain actions, identifying funding and resources, and a clear timeline for completing all of these actions, so that ultimately when the plan is handed off to the town, you're able to know exactly who to contact to get started on things, you know the timeline to get through each action, and know that it works towards the goals that came directly from the members of the community. And so I am going to be talking more about specifically how this looked in Keystone, and so you can definitely ask questions about more of the specifics that come from that. Okay. Oh, I went backwards. Sorry. Okay.
Thanks, Jess. Okay, so now I think we're going to move forward with the mini labs. So if I could have the 4, or actually 5 interns come up here and some of them are dual. They're both in core and the MENV. So lucky for them, they get to talk twice. And I'm going to hand it off to them to do a 1-minute pitch. And then what we'll have you all do is select one of them that was the most interesting to you or that you have questions about, and then we'll break out into 4 mini labs, and you'll have a few minutes to hear more about those specific projects and ask the interns questions. So with that, I will pass it over to Erin.
Hi everyone, my name is Erin Spencer and I'm an MENV graduate student consultant with Denver's Office of Climate Action, Sustainability and Resiliency, but because that's a mouthful, I'll just be saying CASR. And I'm representing myself and 2 of my other teammates today who couldn't be here. And our capstone has focused on neighborhood scale electrification, which seems to be a hot topic at this conference so far. I think they're presenting on it in the room over with the town of Vail. But yeah, basically looking at clean heating resources and looking at how we can prevent the expansion of or the replacement of the natural gas distribution system. And our work has really been, I guess, divided up into 4 different categories that you can see there. So looking into utility planning documents, which was a lot to look through, state level legislation that is pushing these initiatives forward at the local level. We also looked into financing, so figuring out how people can account for the avoided costs from not investing or continuing to invest in the natural gas system. We also looked into technology. We are recommending that CASR prioritize thermal energy networks. And then finally, we rounded out our project with community engagement. So we distributed a survey to Denver residents that we've got over 150 responses from. So that was a good surprise. And then, also creating community engagement materials. And all of this we're really hoping is we can provide CASR with a springboard as they continue to research and then hopefully implement in the next few years these neighborhood scale electrification pilots. Hand it off to Danny.
Hey y'all, my name is Daniel Tigreros, but we seem to be a nice, small, cozy room, so y'all can call me Danny. Unlike my peers, I didn't directly work with a local government or government agency for my Capstone project, but I promise there is some connection. I worked with Boomtown Innovations. They're a Boulder headquartered innovation services firm, and they work with large-scale organizations that have some type of problem, are looking for an innovative solution that they can't fund in-house. And so Boomtown connects them with startups that have that innovative solution and builds out those startups to the point where they can develop a contract. They mainly work in sports tech, health tech, and education tech. However, they see the need for sustainability in our urban and developing areas. And so my capstone is focusing on those types of partnerships. How can Boomtown facilitate conversations between the private sector and innovative technology and integrate that into our local communities here in Colorado, nationally, and eventually globally as well. And we identified 4 sectors: buildings, water, mobility, and energy as the most impactful pieces where we see innovative technology. And so right now we are leaving Boomtown with a value proposition based off some surveys we conducted with founders on their needs, but then we also had the opportunity to meet with OEDIT, the Colorado Energy Office, and other regional agencies on what those partnerships look like, how can startups and innovative tech be implemented here in Colorado.
Hi everyone, my name is Brooke Miller. I'm also at the MENV program. I had the opportunity, along with 2 peers, to partner with the town of Hayden this year, summer, fall, spring, yes. And 4 of our consultant partners, which are listed at the bottom. So Hayden is experiencing a lot of expected population growth and also the closure of its coal plant. So they're trying to create a project that creates an interdisciplinary approach to this growth and change with those elements of resiliency weaved in. So ultimately, there's 5 different pillars to this project, which are listed there, and there's going to be 5 different outcomes from those pillars. As a student group, we're really invested in working with the consultants that are doing these plans to provide them with some baseline support like data collection, literature review. We did some site tours and surveys, and we also did some community engagement for them. We're also kind of reviewing plan drafts as they come out to make sure that there's cross-pillar alignment through each of the throughout the entire project. And so it's been a really great hands-on experience for us. We are also producing for the town a community engagement plan to use through the project, and then we'll also have their executive summary, so that will come directly from us. So in addition to helping all of the consultant partners, we have our own deliverables, kind of as Alice mentioned. So yeah, it's been really great opportunity.
Hi everyone, my name is Eloise Armour. I am a master's student at Western Colorado University in Gunnison, so go Mountaineers. Okay. Tough crowd. And I am the Resilience Fellow for the City of Grand Junction. We're still out if that's actually Mountain Town, we'll see. And I'm working on a couple of things. The first one used to be called a climate risk and vulnerability assessment. Due to changing politics, it is now a community risk and vulnerability assessment, where we're looking at the sort of highest climate risks for the community and how we can plan to mitigate for them. For Grand Junction, that is mostly extreme heat, drought, and wildfires. Speaking of extreme heat, we are also working on an extreme heat preparedness plan. So that is looking at increase in 911 calls above a certain amount of, or a certain temperature, and how we can better plan for that. The city is maybe not exactly accepting climate change as a reality, however they are paying for it right now, and so we're helping them plan for that one way or another. And we are also working on developing a tabletop for emergency planning for city staff. And then the last item that I've been working on is updating the 2023 greenhouse gas inventory and clear path for the city of Grand Junction. This is my time to shine. I have the mic. Nobody can take it from me. My supervisor, Andrea Brushwhite, was the sustainability specialist at the city of Grand Junction. She is now a management analyst, and the sustainability division has been entirely dissolved. Her closest partner, which was mobility, as of Friday, that position no longer exists, and that division has been dissolved as well. So if you want to talk about climate change and resiliency in a purpley reddish city and how we can still make it happen, come talk to me.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Colton Zadkovic. I'm a graduate student actually at the University of Denver. So go Pioneers. I doubt there's any University of Denver students in here either. But I was lucky enough to be paired up with the city of Inglewood, where prior to my work, my supervisor had started the process of beginning a community climate resilience framework. Driven by the framework of the National Association of Climate Resilience Planners, this process starts out with residents identifying their vision of sustainability, and then after that they identify the climate vulnerabilities they face in their community, as well as solutions to those vulnerabilities. So once this process began, I joined in and started to take these resident identified solutions and see what was feasible, what works for Inglewood, what doesn't work, and maybe what the city is already doing or what they plan to do in the future. This process has been completely community driven. We have always kept the community front and center, getting their input along the process, as well as keeping our sustainability commission, which is resident driven, informed along the process and getting their approval as we move forward. The results have been 16 actionable projects that we hope to implement. We're pitching the framework in about 2 weeks to city council. So if that gets implemented, we will move forward with those projects and hopefully implement them into the city's next strategic plan, or at least have this framework try and guide that strategic plan. We got a lot of community feedback. 65 plus residents reached out to us via outreach events, or the final thing we did was ask for their input. We sent them a final draft of the framework, and nobody said they hated it or thought we didn't do enough work. So that was awesome too. And then finally, we secured approval from our Sustainability Commission, like I mentioned, as well as the city's leadership. So it's really been an incredible process. I think, especially when you're thinking about bringing a grad student or any student on and as an intern, for me, this process has made me realize that I want my career to be in local government. So it was hugely impactful for me. So I highly, highly recommend you bring on an intern.
Okay, so now the 4 groups, which Danny and Aaron will be together in one, are going to break out into 4 different sections, and we'll take about 8 to 10 minutes and select which one you would like to go and ask some more questions of, and then we'll come back here and hear about a few more projects before letting you all go. So, yeah, pick a table and then break out. Thanks.